Hi there. I think the question of the title of this video is at best facetious and at worst rather intimidatory. In fact, if I was going to be very sensitive about it, I'd even say that it was a sort of bit of hate crime arising, on the network, really. It's definitely a very nasty question, sort of thing, really. And could be said in a really hostile, menacing sort of way, which wouldn't be very nice. But because, I think Gnostics should be forgiving, well, generally, forgiveness is at the key of Gnosticism, by the way, then we'll say no more about the underlying hostility that this question might involve. But to answer it, really, is the short answer is no, because for various reasons. The first reason is that one of forgiveness. If you forgive the demiurge and forgive the finite worlds in which we live and the archons that rule over them, then it becomes there's no need to do something so hostile or symbolically hostile as take your own life, because that would be an act of extreme judgment on your part, which I don't think that you're necessarily qualified to make. So I think that the answer is that you wouldn't be so what's the word, ungracious or kind of I don't know. Thinking another word which I can't really use. I don't know. It just seems wrong to me. It just seems that you haven't really got it if you're going to think along those lines. Because the heart of it, I suppose, really is you Gnostics say that this world or matter is evil, and and even if you're going to say matter is evil or dualism is evil, then if you don't like it, why are you here? Well, of course, you don't have much choice in being here. You are just here because you're born. And if you weren't born, you wouldn't be here. But there's no reason to reverse that by committing suicide. And because, I mean, the world is as it is, and you're not arguing with the world as it is. You don't think that the world should be anything other than dualistic or evil for that matter. And in any case, it's only 30% evil, if I might say, because it's creative, maintaining, and destructive. So 30% of the time, the world is only is destructive for that time or for that number of situations, as it were. Probably, I mean, I'm probably getting the math wrong here. Math is not my strong point, but 60% of the time, systems, situations, people are being maintained and things are being created. So there's creativity, there's preservation going on. There's a lot of good stuff going on in this world as well as a lot of bad stuff. So really to look at, but overall, I think, the finite worlds do generate fear and greed, and it's fear and greed that make us, that cause suffering. So on balance, although only 30% of the time things are actually destructive, they are certainly, because of that, they are certainly imperfect, and you get a dualism arising between preservation and creativity on one hand and destructivity on the other, destructiveness on the other. And of course, there's pleasure and pain and black and white and light and dark and cold and hot. Other binary dualisms arise in the finite worlds, as we know, because we detect them and we process them in our brains. But the other thing about there's a contradiction. Well, there's a sort of an irony that in the midst of this vale of tears, in the midst of the valley of death, there is this spirit, heart, spark, soul inside you, soul consciousness, if you like, soul awareness, which you can, by various different means, access, and also access through the Holy Grail, which bring you in to brief, fleeting contact, but very powerful contact with that which lies beyond, which is the transcendental realm of infinite bliss and infinite light, infinite liberty. And so the infinite realm where the good God is, or the realm is the good God, actually, I should say, really, a realm of non-duality, a realm where there is no suffering and there is no pleasure, but there is bliss, which is a different thing to just pleasure, which is a temporary thing rather than bliss being an eternal thing. But we can really hardly imagine, in fact, what a non-dualistic world would be like to experience. Actually, something broadly like our dreams, I suppose, really, but something more powerful even than the most powerful, clear dream you've ever had in your life, sort of thing, and not waking up from that dream, I might add. So, given this, and this is all in the midst of evil matter, in quotes. So, in the midst of evil matter, you have this beautiful spirituality, which is possible to access and tap into. And then from this spirituality, as the Grail suggests, there's an overflowing bounty. My cup overfloweth, as it were, and so you're getting a blessing from accessing soul awareness, in the sense that you're given a lot of vitality and positivity, and your mood is uplifted, and you have an experience of a pleasant experience. But of course, then the trick is to remember that experience and take that experience with you from the meditation and into ordinary mundane life, so that when things get rough, you simply remember the beautiful experience that you had during the meditation or prayer or ritual or whatever, and you take that and think, well, that is what is real. And all the pain and suffering and hassle that I'm experiencing at this moment is part of the unreal situation, is part of illusion and delusion. And even when I want to make something better of myself, that's part of the delusion of ego. So it's a matter of creating perspective and maintaining it. But of course, also realizing that in this world of matter, perspective can be destroyed. If you hit your funny bone, which is your elbow, which is also, I don't know why it's called the funny bone, because it's really, really painful, isn't it? And you're overcome with this pain. It blots out everything, including it blots out everything that you might remember from bliss, or from a beautiful meditation or beautiful yoga session or whatever. And all you can think about is the pain and self-preservation. I want to end this pain, and you rub your elbow vigorously and the pain goes away, all right. Well, you hope it does, unless you've broken the actual elbow itself, which is horrible. But if you haven't, then the pain will subside, and things will get better. But in that moment of pain, you might cry out in anguish, or anger or resentment. Why me? Why do I always have to hit my funny bone? And you might go into kind of like black and white thinking and all that. So, obviously in this world, you have to be prepared to get eaten by a snake. So you're going up a couple of ladders, and then you might go down a snake, as in the game Snakes and Ladders. And overall, I suppose you could develop a philosophical attitude to that process, really, and say, oh, well, this is a snake I'm going down, I just have to bear it, it too will pass, kind of thing. But certainly, I don't see that there's enough reason to literally commit suicide because evil matter is engulfing you, because you are imprisoned. I suppose the word soul imprisoned in matter is a bit emotive, actually, and perhaps rather an unhelpful word, because it does imply that you could liberate yourself by literally committing suicide, and then you'd be out of the prison. But then some people do say, well, there's reincarnation, so you just come back into the prison after, and you could never escape by suicide anyway. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But even if it isn't true, it seems to me that the path of liberation is rather more involved than simply killing yourself. So I don't know whether I've answered this rather malicious question, why don't Gnostics kill themselves? I don't know if I've answered it fully. It's obviously quite an emotive subject, really, or potentially emotive, which in itself belongs to the finite worlds. I suppose if we were living in a non-dualistic universe, we wouldn't even be asking this question. Well, we wouldn't be asking this question. Question would entirely be redundant and never asked, in fact, because there'd be never any reason to ask it, really. But in this realm and on this level of consciousness, the question is asked, perhaps with rather dark intent and with malice in the heart of the person asking it, and a sense of superiority because I'm an Orthodox Christian and I know that God is good and this world is good and you're wrong, kind of thing. But anyway, I look forward to actually having some criticism from this, maybe, or some supportive statements left in the comments about what I've just talked about. And where has my cursor gone? You see, this is the finite worlds, and then we go into frustration because we can't find it. You see, but then we find it, and then everything's hunky dory after that.